Talasia Young.
My name's Tyler.
And today we're going to be discussing our IVF journey.
So I think it began in around 2011 is when I had my vasectomy. It was one of those decisions I made because I didn't ever want to have kids with the person I was married to again. That relationship was really bad. So out of it, I just kind of didn't want any more kids, and I sort of lived like that for a while. Not that I was opposed to any more kids, it was just I didn't want to have any more kids with her, and we were going through a divorce, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. I had my daughter when I was 25 years old, and then my son when I was 27. He was kind of one of those babies that just kind of popped up, and it's like, oh, you're pregnant. Not that it was a mistake, but he just came kind of unexpectedly. So I had the vasectomy in 2011, and it was 2018 when I had the vasectomy reversal. Normally the doctors don't like to do reversals when they're too far out. There's kind of a window that they want to keep you in to actually try to put stuff back together down there, if you will. And to have the best possible chances.
It's 3 years. I think it's actually 3 years that you have after getting your vasectomy until it's kind of Russian roulette with possibly having a baby.
It's just kind of one of those things, like your body knows if you're not using it, your body kind of tries to not have to put energy into making it. Mm-hmm. So not being able to produce sperm, your body kind of lowers its chances every year that goes by.
It creates antibodies.
Yeah.
And each year that you go with your vasectomy, your body will create antibodies to eat the sperm because it's not going out anywhere. And the longer you go, the more antibodies, so the harder it is to actually get someone pregnant. I looked up and Googled the science part, so yeah.
So after we met, I think I didn't want kids when we first met, but I didn't really know what I wanted in general in life with anything.
And I wanted kids. I made that very clear in the beginning. I accepted the fact that yes, he had a vasectomy, and I was well aware of that, but I made it clear in the beginning, I do want children. So what are we going to do here, you know?
I think one of my the biggest decisions was just us sitting down and talking about it, because it wasn't the kids in general that made me not want to have the kids anymore. I think it was more like failed relationships, or the failed relationship with the kids. My kid's birth mother, they call her the belly mom. That's their nickname for her. So they came out of her belly, and now Tay is their mom. So I think once we really talk things out and we have a really strong relationship, I think that one of the reasons that changed my mind is because I didn't really know how relationships were supposed to go, you know, the whole partner being there for you, and we just have a really strong foundation, a really amazing relationship. It changed my mind. And it's not like it was like a sacrifice or anything, it was just something that just felt natural with the right person, I think. So we set up the reversal, and they planned it out some months ahead. I was pretty nervous. I didn't watch any of the videos at first, except for
good. Which is a good thing, yeah.
If anybody's going through a vasectomy reversal, there's a few ways they can do it, and the most evasive way is just kind of cutting right down the middle of the apple and sewing things back up in there, if you will. So we got the vasectomy scheduled. It was May of last year, so it's just been just over a year. Once you get the vasectomy, they want you to wait so many days, so many weeks and months until they can take more samples. Mm-hmm. The problem with the Army is they're not very, sometimes they don't tell you a whole lot of stuff.
And kind of cut you open.
Yeah. So I went through some of the follow-ups and stuff, and they gave me kind of like generalized answers.
Oh, your number's growing. It's doing so good. It's blah, 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 blah. So we hit like the 6th or 7th month, and we were like, it's baby making time. And, you know, obviously a baby didn't come out of that, and we were wondering what's going on. And so the doctor was like, oh, it's just going to take some more time. It's going to take some more time. And kept getting numbers, kept waiting for the results, and we still weren't getting pregnant. And we were like, okay, what's going on? Because they weren't telling us anything. They were just being super overly positive and saying like,
keep trying.
Yeah, give it the good old, what is it, college try.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
I think is what opened up our eyes as we went to your fertility doctor, and she pulled all the detailed information from both of my the sperm samples that I gave previous.
It was actually my grandmother. Grandma Pat, is the reason why we are here and this IVF journey today. She said, Tay, you should go to a fertility specialist and make sure, you know, you're okay, he's okay. They specialize in these things. And I'm like, sure, Grandma. Okay, I always listen to her. So I ended up going, and they pulled his information. They checked me out. I had to go through a lot of tests, scrapings. What was the one procedure I got that was like extremely painful?
Oh, where they had to fill up your cervix with water and like a sonogram?
Yeah, it was a saline sonogram. I'll talk more about that when I go over like the medication and stuff in another video, but whew, that was intense. And then eventually my doctor ended up going over his information, going over our information.
So the recovery process after the vasectomy was very intense. It was the surgery was more intense than I had ever imagined. I thought it was going to be pretty quick, in and out. They put you under general anesthesia. You wake up, you don't know where you are. I have a problem coming out of anesthesia in the first place. I had issues and feel all weird and act all crazy and stuff for a while.
And that's typical, the doctor said, for like Asian men or women. They you guys are like have a very low tolerance for anesthesia, so like pretty much you wig out.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
So I was all crazy in the hospital. Came home.
We got pictures. So.
We're gonna get your wheelchair right here. So sit up.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm getting all of it. I feel like you guys are my drunk friends trying to get me into the
Well,
bathtub.
I feel like that's what you are drunk.
This is generally how it goes. No, not
Okay.
this bad. Nope.
Into the sweet chair.
Look up. Just look up.
You got
Doing
this.
good.
Look at you.
Towards me. Towards me. There you go.
The one eyeball thing. Two eyeballs is too much. There's one right there. Hold on. When that's her. Okay. Oh, I'm perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we finally got home. Then I actually got to see Grabamir and Tay and our friend Sydney help
And
me.
we told him not to look at it. We could see it, and it looked like someone took a sledgehammer and like went full misery on his testicles.
Yeah,
like it was bad looking. And then we were like, don't look at it. He looked at it and he started like getting all shaky because his mind was connecting to like what was going on down there, and started getting all like fainty. And I'm like, you're too big. If you drop, you're just gonna have to stay there, because like me and Sydney are not gonna get you up. Hopefully we would probably roll him around and put a blanket, but yeah, it was
pretty evasive. I think once I saw it, it was like, oh shit, this happened for real.
The medicine like seemed to like wear off.
Yeah.
Like the anesthesia was gone. Like
Anesthesia just burnt right off. I think the adrenaline just kicked everything in overdrive. But it took a couple weeks, and the problem with it was like I've had injuries before and had surgeries before where you had to take pain pills, or they give you pain pills for this or that, and I've never
pills did not work.
I've never had to take pain pills how it says on the bottle for the duration of the time it says. And
like
I was
on time. If you missed that time, he was in excruciating pain.
It's not like getting your wisdom teeth out and you can pop a couple pain pills and you're good for the day. This was absolutely totally different.
Just to walk, like he couldn't even, like we went out to a restaurant, I want to say like a good 2 weeks after the procedure, like 2.5 weeks, and he couldn't even sit down. Like, and you have to wear like a little banana hammock, like a medical one, to like keep them pretty much sitting up. You don't want gravity pulling down on them and like pulling on the incision. So he just couldn't sit down. They were so large. he couldn't sit down. So eventually we just couldn't eat, and I just felt so guilty and so bad at the time because I was like, he's going through all this for me. And, he was like, well, I love you. And he just made me feel better. Because at first I felt guilty. Like, just seeing you like that, it was really intense.
It was rough. I guess after that, once we started talking to the fertility doctors and they gave us more information, we asked a few questions, and there's a couple different ways they can go about it, which is IVF, which is the route we're taking, and they have IUI, which is essentially...
we first tried to do that.
Yeah, IUI is essentially the turkey baster method. They put semen, turkey baster pretty much, and shoot it up into the cervix.
And give me a lot of medication and make me drop multiple eggs. That's the one where you can get like multiple pregnancies, depending on like how many eggs you have that drops. And what the R&B doctor did not tell us was just how low his number was, and that it would be a very slim chance of us actually conceiving naturally or even doing IUI. They didn't tell us any of that. If it wasn't for like me listening to my grandma and going to the fertility specialist, then we would have just been trying and kind of like we wouldn't have been in the loop. We would have just been like, okay, something's wrong with me or something, like what's going on, And she broke it down to us like, I don't know why he didn't tell you this. I don't know why he didn't explain the numbers. She broke down the morphology.
The mobility, how many there was.
Morphology is like how they're shaped. So you can have some that are like double-headed, some that aren't shaped the correct way it's supposed to. The mobility is if they're like swimming in a circle, swimming sideways, they need to be going this way. And then the volume is just how much... what is it? It's like the fluid around the sperm that protects it. And he was good. It was swimming the correct way. It was shaped the correct way. Volume was good. It was just literally the number was not there.
I think they said it was about 2 million after the surgery.
And
2 to 3 million.
Yeah, it was like 2.9, almost 3 million. And an average male has like about 15 to 20 million on like the low scale, is what the normal low scale essentially. And most people after a vasectomy, they'll be more in the 10s, which is still possible. He had it for about, 8 years?
Yeah. So
the scarring on it wouldn't allow any sperm to go through and get someone pregnant. I mean, some would go through, but only 2.9 million was going through. And I get it. Some people are like, well, all you need is one.
That's totally not true.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to say it's totally not true, but... that one has a very intense journey to get to that one egg and hopefully meet up perfectly and then and then get there and make a baby. Like, having a baby is like a miracle. When people say that after the doctor explaining to us just how difficult it is for someone to conceive normally and the things that the egg and the sperm have to go through, it's like an amazing thing when you think about it. But anyways, so back to what the doctor's telling you, sweetie.
So we went back to the doctors, finally scheduled the IVF appointments.
Yeah, well actually, yeah, she tested me.
Yeah, you got tested, I got tested. IUI was out. Doctors up at Walter Reed, Bethesda, went up there and talked to them, and I guess that's where we really started the whole process of the IVF.
And getting like the information that we needed, because oftentimes it's female factor in fertility. Okay, so our situation really isn't common. We're 12 years apart, and it's the male factor in fertility. And another reason why we were even doing this is because when I needed help or support, there was really no one or not really any information out there. There wasn't really that much information out there about trying to do IVF with male factor infertility and like the outcomes and just pretty much how it works. Like, I used Google. I kind of asked the doctor. I looked up IVF forums, and it was an immense amount of support for female infertility, female factor infertility. So our situation was really, really different. So that's why I really want to document it for someone else who might be in our shoes and needs help and wants to know information and just the things that were not available to me at the time. So I'm not going to get too much into detail like starting the IVF because that's going to be another video like I said before. But pretty much it is not a quick process, or it's not as quick as IUI. IUI, you just go by your period, start taking the Clomid, and then eventually once you get to a certain date, you go into the doctor, you take your husband's sperm or a sperm donor if you're a lesbian couple, or if your husband has like
Zero
sperm or anything like that. And then you do it that way and you wait for a couple of days. That process is way faster. There's a lot of pre-screening for IVF and a lot of like tests associated with IVF before you even make it to your orientation. And then after you get to your orientation, you still have to wait, and your cycle has to match up with their cycle of IVF. So for example, if your cycle starts more in the beginning of the month and you're able to start your birth control and the medication that I'll talk about later, then you can start the following cycle that next month. But if your cycle is at the end of the month, then you can't do that up and coming IVF cycle. You have to go to the following one because everything has to match up. Not to mention the cost. And this is what a lot of people are not aware of. IUI, and I'm gonna put it up there because you'll see like me post it. IUI would have only cost us about $175.
Yep. Per try.
Yeah, and I spend like, this cost me like $187. So that's like not even bad. IVF, we spent about $8,000.
And that's with the insurance too.
With the insurance covering our appointments. So if you Google right now, some people who don't, and we are blessed to have insurance that covers like part of it, because for the people who don't, they would have to go through like payment plans or go out of the country for it. And they could still pay about $12,000 to $20,000. So I'm just very lucky and very grateful. I literally had to work and bust my ass and do overtime. And he, you know, we just like had to be more stingy. And then we finally got the money, paid the $8,000, did a little tear like, I cannot believe we just spent this amount of money. And we got to be in the June and July cycle. So with that, I'm gonna show you really quick. This is the meds, including needles and shots, and I'll go over this in the next video. It is a lot with IVF. It is not a quick turkey-based method, and I'm just so grateful that we're here, you know, because we started from first dating, your vasectomy, you weren't sure if you wanted kids. It's been a long journey. It's been like 2 years of us really like, me warming them up to the fact of kids. Because I've always wanted to be a mom, and since I was like little, and anyone who knows me knows that. So I would just love to see what our little faces look like together. Like a little flat faces just smushed, you know? So if you have any questions about IVF, or you have any questions about us as a couple, just leave a comment down below or DM me on Instagram and I'll get back to you. But other than that, we'll see you for the next video. Bye!